Hi everyone and welcome back to my team on F1 2020. I'm sorry if you can hear my fan, but I'm recording this right in the middle of like the August heat wave, so I gotta do it or I'm gonna just collapse. But yeah, we're back then, episode 3 of my team. Today we've got a brand new track then, Hanoi circuit for the Vietnam Grand Prix, but before that we've now got enough acclaim to add a secondary sponsor to our car, and there is a long list of sponsors that we can have with different incomes and different goal bonuses. Obviously we want to try and get one that we can actually do. Decided to go with XXY for the time being because this looks like a very easy one to do, but I will say right now I made a mistake. I didn't realise that you actually have to then add the logo to your car yourself. It doesn't just automatically do that. You actually have to edit your livery, and I didn't realise that for either this episode or the next one, so it won't be until the Netherlands that we'll actually be seeing that new sponsor on the car. So yeah, sorry, I messed that one up there, but we have got that sponsor though at least, and we will be getting income from them, even though we probably won't be making them very happy by forgetting to put them on the car. As you can see, we still don't have enough money then to upgrade any of our facilities yet, so we have to just ignore that for the time being. In terms of activities then, we've got a couple of weeks now then before the next race, so we'll improve our second driver then. We may as well try and improve some of our department's morales as well then. We've got the power unit team, I guess, and also I think we're going to do the aero team maybe. I think I did, and I indeed did, I think. I'm pretty sure I did, because it's 3 days, so yeah, that would have made sense. So, well, improve the morales of those two departments. We're also going to look then, because unfortunately our chassis upgrade that would have been on the car for this weekend failed, so got to do that one again then. In terms of the development though, we're not doing too badly though, I don't think, because we have caught up to AlphaTauri and Alfa Romeo. We've got an upgrade coming on every department then in the coming weeks. But we're now heading into the weekend then, the Vietnam Grand Prix at the Hanoi Street Circuit, and this one took me a very long time to prepare for, putting in the laps on time trial, finding a setup that somehow worked on this track, because I absolutely hated this circuit when I first drove it, and to be honest I still don't really like it much at all. It just does not flow. I mean, what kind of corner is this? I don't know if I'm meant to be accelerating or braking. This left-hander there, it's just pot luck really for me if I get it right or not. It's just one of those tracks that I just very much struggle to hook up consistently. This is one of the only corners I actually like. I quite like these little flip-flop chicanes. There's sort of a similar one at Paul Ricard, but then what is this? Am I meant to be accelerating or braking? And if you get that wrong, then there's just this massive long straight that's not a straight, that you're going to be slow all the way down if you get it wrong. But like, this track just does not flow at all. With just, it's constantly stop start. We've got a straight that just goes on forever. We're going to hit a braking zone at some point today. There it is, a very tight hairpin there, and then it's back on the throttle, and then just another long straight. There's another corner coming up somewhere then. Then you got this little 90-degree corner there. Then you got like this little bit of a fast bit, which is quite cool here. You're dancing between the walls a bit, but then this bit, it's like they took an S section and like just stretched it out so that the corners don't flow properly. It's just really weird, not nice to drive. This penultimate corner, I always feel like I'm doing something wrong. It just always feels so slow. This final corner is so awkward as well. You can easily go into that wall on the outside, but somehow purple all the way around the lap that time. So whilst I absolutely hate it, I did manage to eventually find something that worked so that I could actually record this episode. So we got there eventually at least, and now that I actually do have a setup, I do feel a bit more comfortable with the track. I at least know sort of what I'm doing around here, I think. But yeah, this is one of the worst tracks I've ever driven. I think it's just not a nice one to drive. I think most people agree, even if they're quick on it, that it is just not really a great track at all. But Nonetheless then, we're on to qualifying then. We did pass all of our practice programs except for the qualifying one, as is always just seems to be the case. So we'll see how we actually do in qualifying then, because it never seems to be that accurate, I don't think. Although we have been out qualified by a lot of both races so far. That's a good initial lap time there. We are ahead of him for the time being, ahead of Raikkonen as well. And as you can see, by the time we got to our second run, we were still up in 15th, so that's looking quite promising then. As we come to line, we improve by a tenth and a half, but we don't improve our position there. But still, we're looking quite solid here on a 35.5, and it looks like we have comfortably got the measure of Callum Moylott this weekend. Don't want to speak too soon, obviously, but we're ahead of both the Alfa Romeos as well then, as well as both the Haas drivers there. So this is looking encouraging here, our pace, and we're heading out now then for our final run in qualifying then to see how far up the grid we can get. On to our final run though, and as I was saying, even though I do sort of know what I'm doing around here, I do still just find it very hard to consistently set good laps. I just never have the confidence. Every single lap feels like, you know, I've got to try and figure out the track again in a way, and you can see there I lost time almost straight away, but then I nearly gained it back here right at the end. I sort of just found time there right at the end, and we came so close to improving, but we couldn't quite do enough. The two Alfa Romeos had got ahead of us there, but still, it's our best qualifying so far, a track that I've just spent the last 5 minutes saying that I absolutely hate. So yeah, that makes sense. I'm actually having a bit of a worse qualifying this time then, down in 21st, with Russell getting himself onto the 10th row then in 20th. But yeah, for us then, our best qualifying so far, comfortably ahead of our teammate, and yeah, this is, I think, the strongest we've looked so far, as we get quite a bit of a claim boost there, almost at level 4 as a team, so that is good. And now we're just heading back to the motorhome. The race is looking nice and clear, a bit of cloud, so I think that maybe we'll be looking possibly good here then to maybe get our best result so far. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to try and stay out of trouble. We shall now head to the race.
The Formula One circus has arrived in Southeast Asia once more, as we usher in a new era and get ready to go racing here in Vietnam. A lap of Hanoi circuit then, 3.4 miles around the Vietnamese capital. A number of the 23 corners take their inspiration from other great circuits, hopefully creating plenty of passing opportunities. Now, Anthony Davidson, I wonder, might we be in for some early pit stops today for the midfield teams, or trying to put some pressure on, or disrupting things for the leaders up front?
If you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you got your own race to run, I don't think they're going to be thinking about causing trouble up front. However, closer to the head of the pack, don't be surprised to see some split strategies. If you're running second and third, for example, bringing one car in for an undercut while leaving the other one out there longer can put a lot of pressure on the leader and maybe force them into an error.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Good job yesterday from Valtteri Bottas. The Finn starts from pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Albon, Ricciardo, Sainz, Norris and Sergio Perez, Ocon, Stroll, Daniel Kvyat and Gasly, Raikkonen, Giovinazzi, the scientist, and Roman Grosjean, Magnussen, Russell, Ireland and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
The team want us to start on the hard tyres and do a one stop, changing over to soft tyres. That seems very dodgy, and the other strategy you can see there, doing a two stop starting on mediums, is only a tenth slower over 28 laps. I didn't have any confidence at all in doing hard tyres at the start. That just did not seem like it would be a good idea at all. I thought I'd just drop like a stone down the field, so I think doing the two stop here, going a bit more aggressive, I think that will work out better for us then. The cars around us though, by the looks of things, are all on soft tyres, so we may be struggling with those a bit. We may struggle to keep up with the Alfa Romeos here, and we may struggle to keep the Haas drivers behind us initially, but hopefully the medium tyres will come back to us later on in that opening stint. We'll have to wait and see on that one, as we are now heading back to the grid then, and we'll see how this plays out. Hopefully we can stay out of trouble here, and hopefully this strategy will work out for us then. I think it should work better for us than the hard tyres, even though it was saying that there was barely any difference at all. But we've got the lights coming on now. We're away then for the first time ever in Vietnam, and it is a pretty decent start. Once again a bit slow on the ERS there. In fact, we're not going to use it at all. We break down to turn 1, we nearly ran to the back of Raikkonen. We've gained a few places around the outside though, but we're getting pushed wide by someone there. We've got a bit of an unfair warning, I think, because we've lost ground a bit to Giovinazzi there, and now Gasly is heading back round the outside, having lost a few places there at the start by the looks of things, but we've ended up back down in 17th place, right where we started. So well, we've certainly not gained anything, we've not lost anything either, so that's encouraging. Then into this right-hander, I probably should have tried to remember the corner numbers before this, but nonetheless, then I'm pretty sure both the Haas drivers drove into us then, Magnussen in right-hander and then Grosjean in the left. So yeah, that wasn't great. We have a big slide there out onto this long straight, so that, as I was saying, is just not ideal if you don't get that exactly right. We're going to go into overtake there for a little bit to try and just give ourselves a bit of a push to stay ahead. We're going to try and force Grosjean out a bit here by trying to cover the inside line a bit. He's still going to look there though. Down into the braking zone, we nearly ran into the back of Gasly there. We almost ran into the back of Giovinazzi as well. And we were getting sandwiched there a bit between Gasly and Grosjean. We all got away with it, but I went off a bit and lost the position to Magnussen. And looking at the MFD there, it looks like we may have had a slight bit of front wing damage. It looks like the front right is slightly lighter green, so I think we do have a slight bit of damage there. We'll have to watch out for that then. I think we do have to continue though. I don't think it's really bad enough to be pitting, but Magnussen does have damage then, and he is pitting. I think that was from when he hit me down into, I think, turn 5, is it maybe? Turn 5 or 6, that chicane. We're going to see a replay then of the start. Bottas there leading away from pole position for what I believe is the second race in a row. So we got a good start then. We were on the outside line, and I believe it was Giovinazzi then in the Alfa Romeo. This camera was very laggy there. We got pushed off the track a little bit then. We recovered it, but we did get a warning, which was a bit annoying. But then we see on board from Giovinazzi then, was he sandwiched at all? We'll have to wait and see then. A big lockup there from Fiat there, it looked like, and Giovinazzi just really seemed to just want to try and run us off the road a bit there. He wasn't really getting squeezed by Gasly. Then down into the hairpin, we all got very tight, a bit of bumping and banging, and we did pick up a little bit of front wing damage there, I think. Not sure if Grosjean got anything at all there. And then George Russell, for the second race running, runs into the back of a HRT and has broken his front wing, so I believe he also pitted at the end of that lap for repairs. On to lap 4 then. We're not doing too badly, I don't think. We're still only a couple of seconds then behind Grosjean. We've got a bit of a gap to Ilott, and Latifi seems to be being dropped behind that as well. Obviously the other two, Magnussen and Russell, have both been in the pit, so they're well behind. I don't think we're doing too badly at this stage then. We're maintaining our gap, and the medium tyres will probably come back to us a bit then, and Grosjean might lose some time. And that certainly looks to be the case then as we head to lap 7. We've closed in by a few tenths. We're really starting to pull away from Ilott now then. For the first time, I think we've looked comfortably faster than him. I think that's the first time in this my team save that's been the case. Sainz is in quite early then, so it looks like he's doing a 2-stop possibly here today then, and we have overtaken him then already. So obviously we're doing a 2-stop, but we're sort of doing it in the reverse order to how maybe the front runners will be doing it. Sainz then very quickly dispatched of us then down that long straight, and hopefully that won't have slowed us up too much then, but I actually went a bit wide there as I was starting to catch up to Grosjean, so that was a bit frustrating there. So that sort of hurt our progress a bit, but then he pitted at the end of that lap anyway. So yeah, it looks like Grosjean is doing sort of the opposite to us then, sort of as well as like the likes of Carlos Sainz. Obviously we're not going to be racing Sainz, but we could be racing Grosjean here depending on how the pace is. I think our medium pace has been good so far, considering we've got a bit of front wing damage as well. A few more cars in the pits there, including Lando Norris there. Ilott then is still about 5 seconds behind, so he doesn't really look like a threat at the moment then. As we skip on to lap 10 now then, Perez has been in as well. I think he came in a couple of laps before that as well, and Norris just flew past then. He was already 4 seconds at the road after just a couple of laps. We've got Perez all over the back of us at the moment though, heading through these S's. into the left-hander, and he really just goes for a gap that was never going to be there, and I think a bit of front wing came off, so yeah, that could be quite crucial then. Perez is going to be quite a bit slower now than I'd have thought with that front wing damage. It looks like he's on a 2-stop as well, so has he really hurt his race there? We've also got Bottas in the pits. That is very interesting. Then the pole sitter, he should not be in the pits around about there with other midfield cars, as Perez does go through then, even though there was a big chunk of his front wing missing, as we saw there as he went past. But very strange that Bottas was pitting, and that is why he got squeezed there by Vettel, but I couldn't see any damage on his front wing as I was looking through, but it was obviously enough for him to pit there, even though he'd already been in once, so that really hurt his race. Perez there just going for a gap that I just don't think was ever there really in the middle of the S section, and you can see sort of the bit of the front wing there actually got sort of lodged in the side of our car briefly, but thankfully it managed to get out before it caused any damage to our radiators or anything. As we come into the pits then at the end of lap 12, as you saw, they're actually going to make a bit of a tweak to the front wing. We're not going to change the front wing, so because there's going to be no point losing that much time, because it's a very slight damage, and I think just upping the angle a little bit will be able to sort of cancel out that little bit of damage we've got. So hopefully that will be the case then, and we'll be sort of back to sort of more of a balance that we're used to then. But nonetheless, I don't think our pace was too bad. We continued to pull away from a lot. We sort of kept Grosjean in our sights, although we have lost a few seconds now then due to him obviously pitting a few laps earlier than this. It looked like it was close to our teammate, but obviously with this pit entrance it completely cuts turn 1 and feeds you out much faster into turn 2, so we've actually got a nice gap still to Callum up there. We're 4 seconds down then on Grosjean. We'll see if we can do anything about that, and in fact we can then. By the end of that lap we'd already almost taken a second run out of him, so I was actually really surprised here at how slow Grosjean was going. Perez is in already then for the medium tyres, so it'll be interesting to see if he can take those to the end of the race. Does seem like a bit of a way then, considering we did 12 laps, but I guess it is doable. Obviously Perez is usually quite good on his tyres, so that could well be the case, but if not, then we could find ourselves battling him again later on. And by lap 17 we'd already caught up to Grosjean, so that's very interesting. He didn't seem to be lacking pace this much in the early part of the race, so I'm not sure if it was front wing damage. It seems unlikely that it was, just for the reason I said, that his pace seemed still to be quite decent in the first stint, even if we did sort of reel him back in towards the end of it. So I think he may have had some other issue here then that may have been affecting him during this race, or either that or he picked up some other damage later on that I didn't notice, but he was very slow. We overturned a 4-second gap in only about 4 laps really, so we should be easily overtaking him here I think for position, given how slow he is. I probably should have used a bit more ERS there, and in fact that is exactly what I did, just to get myself a little bit closer up to him then, so I could go for the move into the braking zone. He is going to go defensive then. We're going to try and go around the outside if we can. He's staying in there on the inside. We'll of course get the inside line for the next corner, but we are having a bit of a slide there at the corner, and we had to use a bit more ERS there then to try and maintain sort of our position alongside him. We did a nice block pass there into that 90-degree right-hander, and we go up then into what is now 16th position for the time being, with Giovinazzi then the next car about 4 seconds up the road. I don't know if we're going to have the pace ready to catch up to him, and in fact Romain Grosjean pits at that on that end of that lap, so it looks like he was very much struggling on his tyres. We see a replay then, and down into the hairpin, a huge locket there for Grosjean. Thankfully he didn't run into the side of us. There it looked like we had the move done, but we just had a couple of big slides there coming out the corner, a bit too early on the power maybe, but we had the inside line for this corner. Grosjean couldn't turn in, and that was the move done then for us, and we pit on the end of lap 20 then for our second and final stop, going on to another set of the soft tyres, and then we'll be pushing to the end. So we'll see then. Perez was only a couple of seconds behind in the end, so I think he must have repaired that damage and also then built up the gap again, so I don't think we're going to be racing Perez here then, unless his tyres go off right at the end. But I think it could be close with Grosjean then. Obviously he wasn't quick, but he would have pitted a few laps earlier than us there, so he may have gained it back again here. As we're going to come out of the pits then, again it looks like he's miles clear, but obviously he's not. Ilott briefly goes through, but yeah, we're going to gain all that back then in the pit exit. And look at that then, we're right on the back of Grosjean here then, and on fresh tyres, 8 laps to go. I think we're looking pretty good here to take this position here. Obviously we've still got to get the move done, and I in fact actually made a mistake here. I put it into lean just for the pit lane to save a bit of fuel, and then I forgot, so that's why I was just wondering why on earth I couldn't catch him down the straight here, but I'd forgotten that I was still in lean, so that was a bit stupid of me there. But you can see I was clearly just faster than him. Obviously I couldn't really live with him on the straights there, but we're just climbing all over the back of his car there. That was never going to be an overtaking position there, but we just had to go somewhere to not run into the back of him. He's looking just very slow. He must have had some other kind of problem here in this race, because this was just like uncommonly slow, I think, from the Haas driver. And going through turn 2, well, look at that then, the door's open, he's going so slowly that we're just going to grab the inside line here for turn 3, and yeah, we're gone. We're up into 17th position then, with a big gap in front of us then to Perez and Gasly, so I don't think we're going to be gaining any more positions here today. I don't think Grosjean is really a threat. And yeah, it was pretty straightforward after that. I was able to turn the car down a little bit to save the engine parts. I did have to turn it back up again a bit on the final lap, because Ilott was starting to get a bit closer to us, and well, that was sort of the closest he'd been to us all weekend really. But yeah, I had to make sure that I didn't back off too much then, so I didn't give him an opportunity to get close enough to pass us. But nonetheless then, it's another solid team result then for HRT, 17th and 18th, 3 races, 3 times that both cars have made it to the end of the race, so that is a very encouraging start then for the team, as Kimi Räikkönen is the driver of the day today then in Vietnam. And yeah, now that this patch is in play, Mercedes then with 2 wins in a row, but this time in fact I think it was Hamilton actually in Bahrain as well. I think it's been pole position both times for Bottas, but on both occasions it has been Lewis Hamilton who has come out on top to take the victory. Obviously we saw Bottas then, his race went all wrong then just after his first pit stop there, a bit of a collision with Vettel by the looks of things. Alex Albon then looks like he's continuing a solid season there with a 5th place finish today, and we'll now see then the podium ceremony. Lewis Hamilton there on the top step with the 2 Ferrari drivers then on either side. Sebastian Vettel then making it home in front of Charles Leclerc. But I think that's 3 podiums then from 3 races for Leclerc. I think that may also be the case for Hamilton as well. I think he may have been 3rd in Australia. So yeah, those 2 then having a very consistent season, possibly the 2 main title protagonists then, I guess, for this season. We'll have to wait and see. There are the final results then, confirmation of that win for Lewis Hamilton ahead of Sebastian Vettel and Charles Leclerc. Verstappen then, I believe, beating Albon for the first time this season there in 4th place. Bottas could only recover to 6th then, despite starting on pole position today. Then the 2 Renaults, the 2 McLarens. Looking further down then, Raikkonen, driver of the day, only gained 3 places though, so I guess there wasn't really much change throughout the field today. There we are then, 17th and 18th. George Russell there with a day to forget. He dropped out from last place at some point during the race, so yeah, another miserable weekend for him then. Down at the back of the field. But yeah, as I was saying, for us, another solid result. No move for us then from where we started on the grid. We started 17th and that is where we finished as well. Hamilton maintains his lead at the top of the championship then, 14 points now then ahead of Charles Leclerc, and Bottas drops down to 5th and with that disappointing result today, so that is really not what he needed at all. Albon moving up to 4th. Looking further down, we stay in 17th place. That has really been the position of the day for us really then, 17th, and we stay in 9th place in the Constructors' Championship as well, still ahead of Haas and Williams, which I think is very what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging. Yeah, English is my first language, I swear. Yeah, but the team acclaim then, we have gained another level then, so that's good. We're up to level 4. We're gaining on Ilott as well, I think, slowly in terms of our own acclaim, and a bit more sponsorship money coming in as well then from XXY now then, which is good. So yeah, a bit more money going into our funds. Not much damage as well this weekend either, so that's good. So things looking quite positive then after 3 races, and we'll be looking to keep that going then next time out for a more familiar track then, the Shanghai circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching it, and I shall see you next time.